Welcome to the League of Women Voters of Wake County Virtual Candidate Forum for the Apex Town Council. My name is Helen Zimmerman, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters for Wake County. The League of Women Voters of Wake County is a nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering voters and defending democracy. We encourage informed and active participation in government, help citizens increase their understanding of major public policy issues, and work to influence public policy through education and advocacy. As a nonpartisan organization, the League of Women Voters does not endorse or oppose candidates and is very proud to continue our long history of hosting candidate forums. The views, opinions, and content expressed in this presentation do not necessarily reflect the views or policies of the League of Women Voters. Apex's council manager form of government has a mayor and 5 council members, one of whom serves as mayor pro tem, who are each elected at large in staggered 4-year terms. The town's attorney and manager serve at the pleasure of the council. All candidates who filed to run for the Apex Town Council were invited to participate in our candidate forum. Outreach included emails, phone calls, as well as certified letters inviting candidates to respond and provide citizens an opportunity to learn about their views. Thank you to the candidates who are with us today. The election on November the 4th, 2025 will be for 3 seats on the Apex Town Council. There are 8 candidates running for the 3 councilor seats. 6 of these candidates have agreed to participate in this candidate forum. The 6 who are participating are TJ Evans, Ed Gray, Sue Mu, Kyron Nebulisa, Andre Powell, and Shane Reese. This candidate forum includes those 6 candidates. They live in and will represent the voters in Apex. We will now spotlight the moderators and candidates. Today, we welcome the candidates for 3 Apex Town Council member positions. TJ Evans, Ed Gray, Sue Mu, Kyron Nebulisa, Andre Powell, and Shane Reese. I think they're all on the screen now. Welcome to TJ, Ed, Sue, Kyron, Andre, and Shane. Thank you for joining us today. We will ask every candidate for the Apex Town Council the same questions. The number of questions is 4. The questions will cover a range of issues relevant to Apex. The candidates are listed in alphabetical order by last name. The speaking order is: the opening statement and the closing statement will be answered by the first person, first speaker, alphabetically by last name. Question 1 will be answered first by candidate number 2, and so on. Before we begin, I'd like to verify with the candidates that they have not received the questions in advance. Can you please verbally confirm?
Confirmed.
That is
Yes.
confirmed.
Yeah.
Confirmed.
Confirmed.
Sue?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I heard everyone. Thank you so much. We're going to start now. You now have 1 minute for an opening statement. TJ, you're first. Please go ahead.
Absolutely. Good afternoon. First, I want to say thank you to the League of Women Voters, first for the fight you guys do in protecting our democracy, also just for the opportunity to speak today and, to your constituents. So thank you for that. My name is TJ Evans. I'm originally from Minneapolis, Minnesota, but I've lived in Apex since I was 12 years old, went to Apex High School, was actually on the basketball team that brought home Apex's first and only state championship, which I'm proud to say that. Now I understand I'm a little bit slower and a little heavier than what I used to be. So now my passion lies in championing the voice of our residents. And when I say residents, I mean those who are living in town limits, those who are in the ETJ, those who own a home, those who are renting, and then our youth all the way to our seniors. So I'm excited for this opportunity to run for council. I think it's a way to advocate for the community on a higher level. And how I plan to do that is community engagement, economic vitality, mindful growth, youth activation, and accountability. I look forward to sharing more.
Thank you, TJ. Ed Gray, you're next. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. And I want to say thanks to the League of Women Voters for your invaluable mission of making sure that people participate in democracy. My name's Ed Gray, and I've been serving on the Apex Town Council for the last 4 years, proudly serving the best community in North Carolina. And my background is pretty simple. It's a background of service. I am currently a federal public defender. Before that, I was a federal prosecutor, prosecuting some of the most serious crimes in America. And before that, I served as an Air Force judge advocate and in other roles in the Air Force serving our country. Services have been a part of my life. And one of the things I'm most proud about is serving the people of Apex. And I want to continue to do that. And I want to continue to keep Apex the peak of good living.
Thank you. Sue, please go ahead. Sue, you're muted. You can unmute yourself, please.
I'm gonna restart the
Okay.
timer. since
Okay,
Sue-
thank you, thank you.
Restart the
All right.
timer.
Ready? Here we go.
Thank you for League of Women to host this forum, and thank you for your hard work to defend our democracy. My name is Sue Mu. I'm running for Apex Town Council. I'm a mom, wife, small business owner, and longtime community volunteer. Most importantly, I'm a proud resident of Apex. I have a background in engineering and finance. I believe I will bring practical problem-solving skills into Apex. The main reasons I'm running is first, I love Apex so much. I want to make sure that everyone who calls Apex home is feel welcoming. Second reason is that Apex has been growing so fast. I feel the responsibility to step up, balance our rapid growth with the quality of life. Thank you. I look forward to hear more.
Thank you. Chiron, go ahead.
All right, yes, my name is Kyron Ebelisa, and again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for having me here. I'm from North Carolina, been in North Carolina my whole life, and have been in Apex for the past 5 years. And being a small business owner, being involved in the community, I've had the opportunity to represent the community through my involvement through the Apex Chamber of Commerce by helping to give back. And through that, I've wanted to continue that. So that's why I'm here today talking to you guys about why I want to represent the voters through being on the Apex Town Council. So I want to advocate for small businesses. I want to advocate for families and advocate for affordable housing. So through those pillars, I plan to help represent the community, advocate for anything that the community wants, and just be a voice for the community. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chiron. Andre, please go ahead.
Hello, thanks again for this opportunity. I'm really grateful for a chance to share my opinions and ideas. I've lived in North Carolina for well over 30 years, Apex a little bit over 17. And my wife and I have raised 5 great, amazing young adults who are out in the world right now. So I feel it's only right that we extend that opportunity and make that opportunity available to other people that live in Apex. There's 3 things I find very important. One, sustainable living, and that goes from the end of this one end of the spectrum, from young people to older people that are ready to retire or downsize, keeping this town alive for as long as possible. Second thing is a connected community where we can find opportunities to share ideas and learn how we can make this town better together. And thirdly, it's leadership and being unbiased and selfless in the leadership to make sure that we're putting the community ahead of our own views or opinions. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to share my perspective, and I look forward to having a great event with my colleagues here.
Thank you, Andre. Shane, please go ahead.
Good afternoon. I'm so thankful to have the League of Women Voters forum this afternoon and to have worked alongside the League in the past advocating for good government. I'm Shane Reese, and I'm running for Apex Town Council because Apex is home. It's where I went to school after moving from Ohio over 30 years ago. And now it's where my wife and I are raising our 3 kids, ages 14, 12, and 10, over the past decade. I'm an Apex High grad, an NC State grad, small business owner, longtime community advocate, and I've lived the evolution of this town. I think voters will consider voting for me because I didn't wait until this campaign to start serving my community, whether it was launching a small business emergency loan, driving $30 million of downtown investment, or helping build safer streets. I'm Shane Reese. I'm running for Apex Town Council, and I'm ready to get to work for you, our neighbor. Let's make sure we are able to maintain the peak of good living. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. We're now going to move to the question part of the forum. You will each have 1 minute to answer each question. This is the first question. How would you use input from resident community groups and commissions to shape policy and ensure that residents' voices are meaningfully included in town governments? Ed, you're first, so you will have 1 minute to answer the first question. Go ahead.
Thank you for that question. And it's important to be able to make, as a policymaker, decisions based upon good information and data. So one of the things that's important for us, and I know I've been a big advocate of, is the involvement of all of our community boards. And during my time on council, we've actually expanded the number of community boards that we get input from, whether it's environmental regulations, whether it's sustainability of our parks and cultural resources, whether it's just dealing with how we interact with law enforcement and our public safety. All of these groups have a great role in providing us details so that when we're making policy decisions, it's not made in a vacuum. And it also provides another opportunity for members of our public to serve. And ultimately, as one of our pillars, service is something that we want to make sure that we're recognizing. So as part of my initiatives, we'll expand our role and our reach with these community boards.
Thank you, Ed. Sue, you now have 1 minute to answer the first question.
Thank you. Except all the community boards I just mentioned, I also would like to host regular forums, set up regular office hours, send out information with different languages. So everyone in Apex, no matter your ethnic background, no matter what language you are familiar with, you have the opportunity to learn what's going on in this town and have your voice heard. I will also going to all the community events, talking to neighbors, talking to the voters to hear their voice, their concerns. I've been doing so for several months already. I look forward to serve everyone, to make sure everyone is involved in our town issue, town management. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Chiron, you now have 1 minute to answer the first question.
Yep. So yes, and having the community have their voices heard is very important. But of course, we have different ages, different demographics. So it's important to get everybody's voices heard, no matter where they're located. So I'll advocate for multiple channels for input, right? So whether it be surveys, having community meetings so that people can have their voices heard, whether advocating on social media to reach the younger voters, or community boards around neighborhoods, just to make sure everybody's voices are heard, so that when we're making decisions within town council, so we're remembering what the people have told us, because that's ultimately why we're here. But along with taking the community's input, we also have to circle back, right? So just as getting the information, we have to make sure that we circle back and make sure that they know what action is being done. So I think it's very important. It's more important to go back to the community and let them know what is being done on their behalf.
Thank you, Chiron. Andre, you now have 1 minute to answer the first question. Andre, you can unmute yourself. Yes.
On this topic, and as well as many others, will probably say similar things. And I think Chiron hit it right on the head. The feedback loop should be bi-directional. So yes, we can get the input, but we should also provide the updates. So I will just add on to what my colleagues have said and just stress the importance of giving that regular feedback, changing the cadence, the frequency, and looking at the different channels and meeting people where they are, because that's what's important. Because if it's just one way, the information is not very useful and it looks like we don't care. And I'm pretty confident myself and the other candidates do care, but improving that cadence, the frequency, and providing that feedback, even if it's not what people want to hear, can only strengthen our relationship from the council to the residents and our neighbors of Apex. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Shane, you now have 1 minute to answer the first question.
Thank you. Yes, as someone who has served on 2 steering committees for the town, it was vital that town leadership hear directly from a diverse group of stakeholders what their thoughts were, what their perspectives were, and perhaps even professional expertise informed the process and made both projects better. We need a wide variety or a wide array of voices at the table when making these decisions that impact 80,000 folks across town. As such, when council is considering advisory board appointments, I will encourage folks across Apex's full spectrum of backgrounds to apply, so that, and I would encourage my candidate colleagues to do so as well if they're on the town council. I also believe it's important to be accessible. I'll be joining my colleagues in hosting community halls, pop-up listening sessions, libraries, parks, local business.
Thank you, Shane. TJ, you now have 1 minute to answer the first question.
Thank you for this question. Community engagement is my flagship focus area for this exact reason. I do believe as a council member, your job is to be the bridge between the residents and those who are working for our local government. I also firmly believe that the voices of our residents should shape the decisions that affect our town, and that we should incorporate these decisions at the forefront of the decision-making process, right? And so for me, I think there's a ton of ways that we can do that. You know, I know boards have been mentioned a bunch, right? And I think we have a great structure in place with boards, but I would love to expand that. I would love to go further than that, right? Meeting folks where they are and ensuring that our systems that, you know, we intake feedback from reach the array of voices in the capacity in which they receive information, right? So whether it be surveys, whether it be community listening sessions, whether it be a podcast or social media, things of that nature, ensuring that every resident has an opportunity to voice their opinion.
Thank you, TJ. We're now going to move to the second question. The second question is, Wake County towns have been growing rapidly. How would you help ensure that housing in Apex is affordable for working families, seniors, and young people? Sue, you have 1 minute to answer the second question. Sue, you'll unmute yourself, please.
Okay. Can you restart the timer? Okay. Thank you for the question. I will tackle this issue in the several areas. First, we should work with Wake County housing projects to provide rental services, rental assistance, and affordable housing assistance to the residents. Second, we will work with companies and organizations such as CLT. They provide public and private home ownership, also provide land banking assist programs, which the housing they provide is much cheaper compared to the market price. So I encourage those kind of companies or organizations to build in Apex. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Chiron, you now have 1 minute to answer the second question.
Yes, affordable housing, very big topic. So some of the things that I think the town can focus on with affordable housing is maybe we have a bunch of developers coming in and building houses. So we need to maybe provide incentives for the developers to set aside a certain amount of units for the lower income people, or, you know, the people that are doing the services in our community. It's a shame for them to have to travel to come in Apex, do their work, and then have to travel out because they can't afford to live there. So we need to make sure that the service workers in our town can enjoy the town, live there, and we need to make it affordable for them. Some other things we can do is have some programs in Apex to educate the citizens on first-time home buyer programs or down payment assistance programs to help get new homeowners, young homeowners into housing, right? So these are some initiatives that we can do to educate the community on how to get into a house. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chiron. Andre, you now have 1 minute to answer the second question.
Okay, the first thing I would say is we should make sure that things that we have in place are being basically followed. I was actually very pleased at the last town hall meeting where the Ed Gray basically made a point to hold a developer to the commitment of affordable units. Doing that consistently enough will actually help the developer bridge a little bit shorter to cross. The second thing I would actually recommend is really strengthening the partnerships, whether that's with Wake County Habitat. There's a lot of organizations out there that are trying to do the same work, strengthen those relationships to chip away at that large sum of the gap that we have in housing. And the third thing I think is very important is to change the stigma from affordable housing to just housing. It doesn't mean that we're going to invite bad things into our town, but we all can agree that housing is important. Thank you very much.
I'm waiting for the timer. Thank
I
you,
beat the
Andre.
timer. You're welcome.
Shane, you now have 1 minute to answer the second question.
Yes, I also agree with what Andre just said, just to pick up on that we really need to reduce the stigma around the words affordable housing. It's taken on meaning of its own, whether it's talking about housing affordability, literally flipping the words around just so that we're able to get off of the front porch in the conversation and to the kitchen table so that folks can really understand what affordability means these days. The community land trust that was just recently passed by the town council is critical, and it's something I've been talking about since January, because as town staff has stated, aside from financing deals altogether, one of the most direct ways to ensure new developments include a housing mix that we need is to contribute land to these development deals, because that represents one of the largest development costs. And in order to pull that out of the equation, we're able to make those properties more affordable and bring families to a.
Thank you, Shane. TJ, you now have 1 minute to answer the second question.
Absolutely. I just want to further paint the narrative on how urgent affordable housing or housing choice is in Apex. Right now, the average price of a home is around $616,000. The average median income for the county is right under $133,000, right? And so it's a clear gap that needs to be filled. A consultant came in and presented to the town that there's right now going to be a need for 3,600 homes in 10 years. That's a gap of 360 homes per year. How we do that is we expand our partnerships with nonprofit developers and for-profit developers and do models like a ground leasing model where they own the land but lease out the property. I think we also expand our partnerships with foundations, with banks, with faith institutions to continue to drive to fill that gap that is needed here in Apex.
Thank you, TJ. Ed, you now have 1 minute to answer the second question.
Thank you for the question. And I'm proud to say that Apex is leading the way when it comes to affordable housing in Wake County. We were one of the first municipalities to pass an affordable housing plan. And in that plan, it's focused at generating incentives for developers to include affordable housing within their developments. It uses our power as a town for zoning in order to create incentives to build affordable housing. We were also one of the first communities to change the narrative when it comes to affordable housing, getting away from that stigma that affordable housing means it's just for poor people needed to change. So we've addressed it by reminding people that affordable housing impacts the people who live and work in our communities. Finally, one of the big areas that we've made a huge contribution when it comes to affordable housing is our recent community land trust. We take land out of the equation, we're going to get there. We've been leading the way, but there's still some things to do, but I'm proud of what we've done in Apex on affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. We're going to now move on to this third question. The third question is, how do you plan to balance the need for housing and economic development with infrastructure and traffic concerns and to preserve green space? Chiron, you're first. You have 1 minute to answer the third question.
Yeah, so yeah, with the increase in development, it's very important that we take a proactive approach in preserving or at least expanding our roads, right? So that's one of the major talks about the town is, we're missing this small charm feel as Apex is growing rapidly, traffic is getting horrendous. So I think the town, being part of town council, I could take that proactive approach on making sure that 10 to 15 years down the road, we're making sure that as people are moving in, we're making sure that they can get around town more accessibly, whether it be expanding the roads, expanding the greenways, public transportation. All those things need to be looked into and expanded upon so that people feel like as growth is coming on, there's a proactive approach that's being taken upon instead of being retroactive and building the roads and stoplights and things like that after people have felt the pain punches. So having that vision will be very important.
Thank you, Chiron. Andre, you now have 1 minute to answer the third question.
That's a tough question. I'll try to do it in a minute. The first thing I think is very important is a lot of our traffic congestion happens on roads that are managed by NCDOT. I can't stress enough the importance of making sure that our current priorities meet their current work schedule. So whether we have to reevaluate our current situation and make sure that our current needs are at the forefront for them, that is key. We're not going to fix a lot of the things unless we make sure that we're really solid on that point. The second thing is maybe we need to go back and look at some of our land usage maps, because you can project things 5 years in the past, but things change in the present and in the future. So maybe it's an opportunity for us to go back and say, hey, that was great 5 years ago, but we've had exceptional growth in the years since then. So I'm a firm believer in everything's not broken, but you can enhance and you should review past progress and past results. I mean, with current results. It's not completely broken, but the relationships and the prioritization need to happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre.
Helen, I'm sorry, could we take just a moment, please?
The timer broke.
This,
And could
that was perfect with the timing, but I just got a message that I had been logged off, because I had been logged on again. So I don't know what that was about, but you were right spot on with the timer though, Andre. And just getting it back up again.
Okay,
Okay, Helen, I'm sorry.
Helen, could you repeat the question one more time? Thank you.
I sure will. And this is one of these spots where we'll go through and edit out some things, not your things, but our things.
Oh, I can't say that again.
No, you won't. You won't have to. The third question, how do you plan to balance the need for housing and economic development with infrastructure and traffic concerns and to preserve green space?
Thank you.
And Shane, see where I am
Wait,
now.
my thing started. I haven't started talking.
Has the timer started?
Yes,
Can
but
you
now it's been running. Okay, are we ready?
Yes, restart the timer. Yes, Shane.
Yes, thank you. It's an excellent question. It is the elephant in the room. As more folks move in, our roadways, sidewalks, transit options are stretched thin, and that has all sorts of knock-on effects. Congestion hurts local businesses, creates safety concerns, limits access to our schools, our parks, and at the same time, we need housing. We have to address a couple things. One is people want to live here. Number two, property rights are really strong in North Carolina. And three, when people have that property, they have a lot of lane to build those homes. What I believe we need to do first is we need to ensure that we are holding developers to the 35% resource conservation area. Number two, we've already talked about affordable housing. And three, in traffic congestion, I believe we need to look at the intelligent traffic system that the town of Cary currently operates for also the town of Morrisville. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. TJ, it's your turn. You now have 1 minute to answer the third question.
Absolutely. Yeah. So with growth, I think it's important. It's a balance, just like the question mentioned. I think we need to take development opportunities on a case-by-case basis, with really an emphasis on community impacts, community engagement, infrastructure, such as traffic, right? Economic, and really, I would say economic and environmental impact. And then there's along with public safety. Right. And so I think it's important that, we also steward partnerships that could really help with community enhancement. Right. I know there was someone mentioned about partnerships with developers earlier and how they could help us reach our affordable housing goals and things of that nature. And so I think it's also important that we empower and work alongside Diane Kin and her staff within the planning department, right, to establish priorities and then also define any gray areas that we may have, and that we can put structure in place to be proactive so that we're shifting the pendulum to be able to have the infrastructure in place before we start to continue to build.
Thank you, TJ. Ed, you now have 1 minute to answer the third question.
Thank you for the question again. And this is another area where I feel like the balance is made by reflecting policies that reflect our community values as well as what our desires are with regard to growth. The tough part about growth is when you live in a place like Apex, a lot of people want to move here because it's a great place to live. Understanding that, we've enacted policies over the last 4 years that have strengthened our environmental stand. We have 35% requirement for resource conservation areas within our developments because that is the strongest in Wake County, and it preserves our identity with regard to having green trees and green spaces. When we do this sort of building, one of the policies that we've really been able to push is this growth that's not on the backs of our taxpayers. 21 miles of sidewalk have been built without the taxpayers' dollars because we've asked our developers to make that contribution. And finally, when it comes to balancing these issues, smart policies reflect our values, and small town character is one of those values that we see within all of our policies.
Thank you, Ed. Sue, you now have 1 minute to answer the third question.
Thank you for the question. The most important thing is smart planning. Right in the beginning of each development, we should consider the projected population growth, the need for additional schools, and our infrastructure keep pace with the projected growth. Second, we should encourage developers to play their role and contribute their share to the sustainable growth. Third, we should hold higher standard for our tree canopy, to preserve our open green spaces. For the affordable housing, we should build those high-density housing programs within walking distance to shopping centers, near public transit, and close to highway entrance. By doing this, we reduce carbon footprint and traffic congestion, and at the same time, we take care of everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. We're going to now move on to the fourth question. The fourth question is, what is your vision for public safety in the town, and what would you do to help ensure that policing is transparent, equitable, and responsive to diverse community needs? Andre, you're going to be first. You have 1 minute to answer the fourth question.
My
Go ahead.
mother's next NYPD, and my youngest brother served as law enforcement in the Air Force. So I believe that, these officers are part of the backbone of our communities. They serve with honor and integrity, and we should support them, whether that be financially or any other needs they have, so that they're motivated and they keep their commitment to doing their job. Transparency is, I'll be honest, I'm impressed with what we have now. How do we make that stronger? The idea of community policing, I think we should probably reframe that to just building the confidence and the trust of our community's public safety units, whether that be the firefighters, the EMT teams, and the police officers. So building those relationships, that gives you transparency. If I can see my resource officer at the grocery store, it means a lot to me. They're no longer a distant entity in the neighborhood. Again, relationships are strong in this area.
Thank you, Andre.
Can I get the
Shane, you
question
now
one more
have-
time, Helen?
Yes, sir. Just 1 second. What is your vision for public safety in the town, and what would you do to help ensure the policing is transparent, equitable, and responsive to diverse community needs?
Yes, thank you.
And you have 1 minute to answer the fourth
Yes,
question.
so the first thing I will say is that my uncle was a police officer for over 30 years. And so I know that these are people who come home at night and help with homework after handling very heavy days. And so with an already challenging job and a lot of responsibility on their shoulders, I believe we have the premier police department in the nation. And so not only do we offer deference and trust our police chief and his leadership in the police department, but the next thing I believe is that we show our police officers that we support them while also ensuring that we have built trust between council and the police chief and the town manager and the town attorney to make sure that we are all transparent with one another. Trust means everything.
Thank you, Shane. TJ, you now have 1 minute to answer the fourth question.
Yeah, my vision for public safety is that it remains a top priority for our town as we continue to grow in population and size. And so what that looks like for me is that we continue to prioritize funding, right, for equipment, for technology, to ensure that we are attracting the best talent, right, from a pay perspective and even a benefits perspective. Would love, just with the nature of the role, to ensure that we have health and wellness, mental health opportunities that are incentives that are added into the compensation plan as well. And I just want to give a big shout out to not only our police department, but our fire department as well. I mean, they do an incredible job with response times, with overall safety standards. And so just Chief Johannesson with the police department and Chief Herman with the fire department are doing incredible work, right? And so I want to continue to expand upon that. And transparency is very important. You know, a part of what I do as a founder of the Juneteenth Festival is allow the police department and the fire department to come in an organic way and build relationships and trust with the community. So expanding upon that, right? Inviting our community to come and learn more and flipping a coin to where our police department and fire department are learning more of each other.
Thank you, TJ. Ed, you now have 1 minute to answer the fourth question.
Public safety has been a priority of mine when I've been on council. When I first got on council, the amount of money that was going to the police budget was $11 million. Last year, we gave them a budget of over $27 million, and we increased the fire department to over $13 million. That's because we understand that if we're going to have quality services, it requires a quality investment in them. We've also been focused on hiring the best people. As a former federal prosecutor and a person who's worked with and prosecuted cases, I know it takes quality people in order to have a really good police department and quality people for fire. And I'm proud that we've been able to create incentives to bring quality people in. And that's because we properly resourced them by paying them better, getting them better equipment, and making sure that they have the resources they need. But as a defense attorney, one of the things I will tell you is it always requires vigilance, and it always requires making sure that we have processes in place to make sure that public input is always there. our police department is always going to be there to support them. And it's important that our public, and most importantly, our council, supports our law enforcement, our fire department, and other members of public safety.
Thank you, Ed. Sue, you now have 1 minute to answer the fourth question.
Thank you for the question. First, we keep our salary and benefits to our fire department, police department, and all the emergency service departments competitive compared to the surrounding municipalities, so we can attract the best officers, best firefighters, and first responders. Second, we should equip our public health, public safety areas with adequate equipments, such as body cameras, communication technology support, to equip our also to hold accountability and transparency to our residents. Third, we should build mutual trust and connection between our public safety departments and the communities, neighbors. We'll invite our police officers come to our community to attend the events and make connection, build mutual trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Chiron, you now have 1 minute to answer the fourth question.
Yeah, so I would say the town has done a good job, but more can be done. When I say I live in Apex and talking to other minorities, sometimes they're scared to come into Apex, right? Because of what they've heard of the policing efforts or racial biases. So we need to do more. I know past police chiefs have done diversity training to help educate the police officers on how to deal with the minorities or other ethnic groups. So more training and diversity training needs to be done. We need to strengthen our oversight. So having independent boards to look over the data of the different arrests that's been made and how it's been dealt, and making sure that we have good approaches to how we're dealing with the different situations that occur in town, so people continue to feel safe. We need to be able to, I know we're doing, we're providing the data to the public, but making sure people know how to assess the data on the number of stops that's happening. So I think it's doing a good job, but we need to do more to make sure people, no matter their ethnic background, feel welcome and safe in Apex.
Thank you, Chiron. We're going to move on to the closing statements. Thank you to the candidates for coming today to participate in our virtual candidate forum. We recognize that running and serving in elected office is a considerable commitment of time and energy, and often means sacrificed opportunities. The League, along with the residents of Wake County, is grateful that we have so many capable fellow citizens who are willing to step forward to serve the important duties as a member of the Apex Town Council. You have 1 minute each to make closing statements. TJ, we're going back to the original order. TJ, you have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Absolutely. First, I just want to thank you all for the time. Seriously, I consider it an honor to be able to share my vision. And so thank you for that. And then I also just want to leave people watching this with this, putting, a dot next to TJ Evans within the polls as someone going to be voting for someone who wants to bridge the gap between local government and residents they serve, right? Someone who wants to lead with accountability, transparency, and accessibility every step of the way. Someone who has a deep love for this community, but also someone who would consider my seat yours, right? And so I would love to connect with everyone who's watching. You can learn more on my website, tjforapex.com, or follow me on social media at Champions for TJ. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, TJ. Ed, you now have 1 minute for your closing statement.
I want to say thanks again to the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. I know that we are sitting in times where the room can feel a little heavy, but allow me to just provide a little bit of positivity to this moment. First, we have got some great candidates that are stepping forward to take on the challenge of service, because there's nothing more important in this time than to have members of the community step forward and serve the members of the community. One of the other things that I want to remind people is that there's a reason why Apex is the peak of good living. It's the things that we are in terms of our community values. It's the people who we are in terms of the folks that you run into on the street. And most importantly, it's the place that we love. I'm proud to be running again for reelection because I love this town and I'm so proud of what we've done. And when we look at what we're going to continue to do, look at what we've done in the past. Our policies have been great. Our initiatives have been great. And everything that we've done has continued to make Apex the peak of good living.
Thank you, Ed. Sue, you now have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity. With my background in engineering and finance, and with years of experience, I'm managing and funding nonprofit organizations, connecting to communities, being partner with many other organizations. I believe I bring that experience, practical problem-solving skills into Apex. Most importantly, I'm passionate about serving. I'm a problem solver. Whenever I see a problem, I'm not waiting. I just roll up sleeves and get into action. If I elected, I'll make sure that everyone will be treated equally and every resident is feel welcoming. No matter what your background and ethnic groups, I will work and serve, unite to the united communities, serve everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Chiron, you now have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Yes, again, thank you for giving me the time to be on this. I really appreciate it. So what I want to say is the town of Apex is going to thrive when every family, every business, and every resident's voices are heard, valued, and supported. So me being possibly on the town council, I will make sure and advocate for the voices of the community because I think that's very important. So also, I believe in a community where housing is affordable for seniors, for families, where policing is transparent, accountable, and where residents have a real voice in shaping the vision of our future. Together, everybody, families, business, the community, we can make the town stay a great place to live, where everybody can be prosperous, where we can come together as a community, and we can just have fun with one another. So that's my vision, and that's what I want to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Chiron. Andre, you now have 1 minute for your closing statement.
I'm really appreciative of this opportunity to share and again to spend time with my colleagues here. I just want to say something. I don't make promises, I make commitments. And when I commit to something now with this and other things, you can run the tape back. Those principles and that principle is basically how I live my life. It's not about the change of the weather. It's about the principles I want to commit to and show in my daily life. So I'm committing, as I have for in many ways, just to help the people, just to help my neighbors, and just to see that we can all do well together. There are going to be good times and bad times, but I believe we can accomplish a lot of these things together. If you want to find out more things I may have committed to, apforapex.com. I am grateful for the opportunity. I admire everybody's courage to run for office. That shows that we all care. And I believe that things we do now will affect our town 5 to 10 years from now. So let's make some good choices and let's do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Shane, you now have 1 minute for your closing statement.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting today's forum and to my candidate colleagues. My vision for Apex is simple: thoughtful development, vibrant business growth, and the preservation of our small town character. I bring deep roots in this town, a track record of getting things done, and a passion for making Apex work for everyone. I'm honored to have served on town steering committees, having led our downtown business community and collaborated with town departments and community partners to solve real problems, from pushing for more greenways to boosting economic growth. And I'm asking for your vote so I can bring that same energy, experience, and focus to Town Hall. This isn't about politics. It's about potholes, parks, and planning ahead. Let's build an Apex where our kids can thrive, our businesses can grow, and every neighbor feels at home. I'm Shane Reese. I'm running for Apex Town Council, and I'm your neighbor working for you. You can find out more at shanereese4apex.com.
Thank you, Shane. We're going to talk a little bit more now about early voting. Tuesday, November the 4th is Election Day in Wake County. Early voting starts Thursday, October the 16th, and ends on Saturday, November the 1st. Please note, the October 16th start date only applies to the Board of Elections location. Voting at the other early voting locations begin on Saturday, October the 25th, and ends on Saturday, November the 1st. The Apex early voting site, you can see it's item number 3 on the map, is at the John M. Brown Community Center at 53 Hunter Street. The Avery Street Recreation Center, number 1 on the map, is in Garner at 125 Avery Street, and the Herbert C. Young Community Center, number 2 on the map, is in Cary at 101 Wilkinson Avenue. The early voting locations also have different hours, so we've also provided the next slide. For your use, we've included a QR code on this slide so you can easily see the early voting locations and the hours they will be open. As we end our forum, we encourage you to visit our website, vote411.org, to learn more about the candidates on your ballot and to find out the latest information on polling places and locations. And candidates, okay, I'm sorry. Please make your voting plan for the upcoming election and encourage your friends and families to vote as well. Thank you again for joining us.